welcome back to the 12 Days of ChrisBondmas, and today we're looking at a spin-off from the Pokemon franchise, Pokemon Snap. Snap was the first 3D game to be released on home consoles for the franchise. The game is an interesting side game because in place of capturing all 150 original Pokemon with Pokeballs and battling them, you're trying to capture them on film. Yeah, the main feature of Pokemon Snap isn't trying to be the best like no one ever was, but rather take the best pictures of several Pokemon. With this unique take on the series, can Pokemon Snap stand out on its own, or is this idea for a spin-off all style and no substance? In a weird twist, Pokemon Snap actually didn't begin development as a Pokemon game at all. It was instead meant to be a game based on Jak and the Beanstalk called Jak and Beans, and it was supposed to be released on the Nintendo 64 disc drive. You know, that failed CD peripheral that didn't even get a release in North America? Despite being announced in 1995, there was never any screenshots or videos of this Jak and Beans game ever released to the public, so I can't even show you what that game was supposed to look like. There were rumors, though, that elements from that game were not used in Snap, but were pushed over into Earthbound 64, which was also planned for the CD64 disc drive, but that too was cancelled. Though there is some footage of that, so I mean, if you are interested, take a look at that, maybe try to figure out what looks similar. So after the release of Pokemon Red and Blue in 1996, and the anime show the following year, Pokemon had become a national phenomenon, and development on Jak and Beans had stalled, so there were talks at Nintendo to add Pokemon into this title. An interview with Satoru Iwata back in 2010 revealed more about this change. Apparently the Jak and Beans game did involve taking pictures, but the motivation for doing this wasn't clear. And so someone in-house mentioned how it might be cool to take pictures of Pokemon. Not everyone was thrilled with this switch at first, as Masanobu Yamamoto, who was the character designer on Jak and Beans, didn't like that all the work he'd put into the original project now had to be scrapped. Though in the end he came around because he's not an idiot and he probably saw the dollar signs in the Pokemon franchise and thought, well, I like money. So what is the plot of Pokemon Snap? Well, there is a story, but it's a paper-thin one and contains less depth than any one of the original mainline Pokemon games. You play as Todd Snap, who has been called by Professor Oak to help him with a research project. Oak wants to send Snap to Pokemon Island to take pictures of Pokemon living there for a report he's writing, which half sounds like the plot to Jurassic Park now that I say it out loud. Anyway, that's the story. You're a photographer, Oak wants pictures, boom, there you go. To be honest, this is not a role-playing game like the actual Pokemon game, so really there's no need for a story to drag you along here. Oak is the only character you talk to, and while I said that you play as Todd, he's pretty much just a stand-in for you, the player. In fact, you can rename him at the start. So don't expect to make any sort of connection with him. You want to learn more about Todd? Then go watch that one episode of the anime that he was in. Well, if the story's not that deep, then let's check out the gameplay. The goal of the game is to enter 6 zones and take pictures of all the Pokemon you can. You traverse each zone on the 0-1, which moves around the zone on rails. You can't slow down or control where you go, but you can use the C buttons to make quick turns to look in a specific direction, as well as using the joystick, which is a little slow, so you're probably going to rely on those C buttons a lot more. Also, at the end of the game, Oak gives you an ability to speed up the 0-1, which is great if you're looking for a shot late into the zone and you want to get there fast. You can also get around fast provided there are no Pokemon to run over, which apparently just stop you dead in your tracks. So I thought this was funny. I felt like I was running over the two here in the entranceway. Just add some sound effects there and like some screams, and you get the same idea. Taking pictures is easy enough. You see the Pokemon, press the Z button, and zoom in, and then A to take the picture. The one negative to this is that you can't control the zoom, so sometimes you might be close to a Pokemon, but the zoom goes in too far and you can't take a really good shot. This doesn't happen a lot, and once you're aware of it, you kind of plan in advance for where you should probably start zooming in from. At first glance, the game is pretty plain, as you just see a Pokemon and take the picture as best you can. But after that, Oak starts giving you some tools to interact with the Pokemon to get better shots, and to get new ones to show up. You first get the apples, which allow you to bait Pokemon into better spots, like this Pikachu to get on a surfboard, the Pester Ball, which can annoy Pokemon in a variety of ways, like getting this Charmeleon to jump into the pit here and evolve into Charizard, which I didn't think that's how it worked in the games, but you know, whatever. And finally the Pokeflute, which can wake up Pokemon, or hatch them out of eggs, like the Articuno egg here in the cave. You will need these upgrades to open up the other areas, as sometimes you need to find a certain number of Pokemon, or reach a certain points threshold. The upgrades also give you a reason to replay the zones to see what new Pokemon you can get. After you exit a zone, you choose which shots you want to show Professor Oak. Even if you took multiple shots of one Pokemon, you can only choose one to present. Oak will then grade your picture on the following criteria: size, which is based on how far away the Pokemon was from you; pose, which is determined on whether you caught the Pokemon doing something other than standing still; technique points are given if you framed the Pokemon right in the center of the shot, and if you get this, Oak doubles the points; and finally Oak will give out extra points if there's multiple of the same Pokemon within that same shot. Gaining the most points allows some of the zones to open, so you'll have to replay the earlier zones a lot to try to get the best pictures you can. Sometimes to open the levels you have to do something in the level, like throw an apple at Electro here to have him blow up and open up the path, and while that might sound cryptic, Oak does give you a hint to do this. However, to reach the real end of the final level, you have to throw a Pester Ball at Squirtle here to have him shoot up the mountain to knock this Mankey on his back so he falls on the other side of the mountain, and then hit him with a Pester Ball so that he gets annoyed and hits the switch. And honestly, I had to look this up because I had no idea what to do here. Once you've opened all the levels and you got to the secret exit in the last level, Oak explains that there are Pokemon signs hidden all around the island and asks you to go find them. There's one in each level, and you probably noticed them the first time you went around. Essentially things in the environment that look like Pokemon, like this rock that looks like Krabby. Once you get access to all 6, you can access the true final level, the Rainbow Cloud, where you can take pictures of Mew, and that's it. That's the game. The presentation is genuinely nice, and it was a joy to see all the sprite-based Pokemon realized in 3D for the first time ever. The Pokemon that are on display here are nicely designed, and they're not too blocky considering the N64 limits. The zones are all quite different, and whether it's the cool beach setting or the hot or intense volcano setting, each one stands out. I guess the only downside to the presentation is the music, which is kinda forgettable. The game uses all new music, so unfortunately there's nothing from the Game Boy games or even the anime, and these new pieces are just kinda mellow and don't really leave a lasting impression, or at least they didn't to me. While Pokemon Snap is a decent game and doesn't do anything outright terrible, there are some shortcomings. The first is that despite being based on the first generation of Pokemon, there's only 63 in the game. And once you get to the end, you've probably taken pictures of the majority, and therefore there's not many to still hunt down. And the second thing is that once you find all 63 the game has, there's nothing more to it. And that's kind of the big issue with the game. It takes about 2 hours to fully complete, and while it's enjoyable, a nice little side game from the main series, there's no reason to really return to it once you've 100%ed it. Originally there was an added feature, but it's no longer applicable. Back in the day, there was the option to take your copy of Snap to your local Blockbuster, rest in peace, and use their Pokemon Snap station to upload your pictures and have them printed out as stickers. Now, I never owned Snap as a kid, and trust me, I was a Pokemaniac when I was a kid. I had red, blue, yellow, the stadium games, hell, the pinball game, the Puzzle League game, but I never asked for Snap. I did rent it a few times the summer it was released, and I did use the Snap station at my local Blockbuster, rest in peace, to print out the stickers. But since the game wasn't that long, I beat it while I rented it, and after printing out the stickers a few times, I guess I felt that I saw everything the game had to offer, and I never felt the need to own a copy. Also, on that note, I kind of feel bad for the people that paid full price for this game back in the day. I'm assuming it was $50, and honestly, I think that's a bit of a steep entry fee considering the amount of content you're getting here. If you can pick this up for cheap, like under $10, then it's worth it to experience this strange little piece of Pokemon's early history. Like I said, the game doesn't do anything wrong, and there's nothing frustrating about the game, so it can be enjoyable, even if the enjoyment only lasts a few hours at best. The one positive to say here is that finally, after 20 years, there's gonna be a sequel. There was a brief look at it earlier this year, and while we don't know that much about it, I think there's a strong chance that the sequel will improve on all the original shortcomings. We'll come back tomorrow as the 12 days of ChrisBondmas continue. Thanks for watching.